Now we'll take a look at the rest of the output options, and I'm going to start off with a couple that we're not going to delve into very deeply here. So if we go to output, I'm going to choose trap presets. Now it comes up as a dialog box, and like we saw in the previous movie, we've got to define our presets here. This is something that 99% of people will not want to use, because you've got to really understand what trapping is, how to set it, how it's used in the press. So this is a feature that is mainly used by pre-press professionals when they're setting up their documents. So I'm not going to go into this. I don't even pretend to know a great deal about it, but I'll give you a brief explanation of what a trap is. So let me cancel out of here and just scroll down here and zoom in here. You don't use traps so much with photographs, but where you do use it is lines like this. When you print something on a press, the colors where they join like this, if you don't trap it, you can get a little jiggle in the press and you can get a tiny white gap where the two colors join each other. So what they do at pre-press is that they just spread this out a little bit, this green out, so it goes into the black. So when it's printing, even if it jiggles just a tiny bit, you're not going to see white behind here, because the green will print over the black and it will just show up as maybe a little darker green, but you're not really going to notice it. Actually, it'll show up more as a darker black rather than a darker green in this case. And that way you just don't get any white lines showing up in the page if something is badly registered. Badly registered is probably a wrong term, because little shakes in the press that can cause these gaps are just a normal feature of printing. Trapping is actually what solves the problem. So this is really for pre-press professionals, so we're not really going to delve into it any deeper than this. So let me zoom out and I'll just briefly look at one of the other options here, and that is attributes. If I go to my output menu and choose attributes, and here you can choose some attributes for your frames. For example, you can select this and tell it not to print like that. Notice that it disappears because we are in preview mode, but if I go to normal mode like that, it shows up back into preview mode. It's there. So if you didn't want something to print, you could do that. If you have been told to apply overprints to a stroke or a fill, you can set them here. And I don't have anything on this page, so I'm just going to draw a box here, and I'm going to call it a green stroke and red fill like that. So when I have this selected, I could apply overprint the fill, and here overprint stroke like this to this object. But it's not something you would want to do unless you really knew what you were doing or were instructed by your pre-press or commercial printer to do so. So you can basically ignore this. You're not really going to have too much you're going to use it for. You may have instructions on the page here that you may want non-printing, but that's kind of the only time you would use something like that. In the next movie, we're going to get into these options here, which are separations and flattener preview, which are a lot more useful to the average user.